welcome back to FM Story as we approach the end of our final season with Sporting. Everything will get wrapped up in this episode. Hopefully we can pick up another league title to make it 14 league titles in a row. And we've also got the Allianz Cup final coming up against Porto. Without further ado, get into the action. So, we've made it to the final day of the league season. Our final game in charge of Sporting in this save. We have one game left, obviously, away at Vitoria Guimarães. If we win it, we could end up with 100 points for the second season in a row. We've been outstanding, really, league-wise. I mean, we've only conceded 15 goals in 33 league games. Since the last episode, at the end of the last episode, we'd had a bit of a run of games where we hadn't played particularly well. We picked up a couple of results. We'd got knocked out of the Champions League, so we switched to the 4-3-3, and we got off to a quick start against Gondomar, with it being 2-0 up after 19 minutes, and then just didn't do anything for the rest of the game, and they equalised with the rebound off a penalty in injury time. Not a great performance against Gil Vicente, but we picked it up more against Portimonense with a 4-0 victory and a 6-0 victory at home to Rio Ave, where Miguel Ferreira picked up a hat-trick and so did Niko Lukic. The Allianz Cup final, we played okay. We had a load of chances, just didn't take them. We got an early goal from Storey with a header from a corner, and we had a couple of goals disallowed, but we could have done a lot better. I mean, it did help that they ended the game with 9 men. But then we were at home to Chavez and secured the league title in the next game with an 8-1 victory. 5 goals from Milos Bortic. He's had an outstanding season again. And then we went away to Chavez and won 2-0. And then a 2-1 victory over Firenze and a 5-0 victory over Vizela. Obviously, looking at the league table, with 15 points clear of Benfica going into this last game. We wrapped the title up a few games ago, obviously, as we said. Milos Bortic is well out in front of the top goal scorer with 27 goals. Rodrigo Ribeiro, who's mostly been used as a sub, has got 20 goals. Pretty decent as well. And now we just got to go into this last game against Vitoria Guimarães, end the season, end the save on a high. We are currently 101 games unbeaten in the league. So hopefully we can end the save 102 games unbeaten in the league. So this is the side we've settled on for the last game of the season. We've gone back to the 4-2-3-1. We are missing Niko Lukic, who picked up an injury in the Allianz Cup final, hasn't played since, so Al Shamari is playing from the left. And Miguel Ferreira is partnered with Placencia in the defensive midfield role with Soulard on the bench. Otherwise, it's pretty much what's been our strongest team all season. Hopefully we can end the season on a pretty decent high. Shamari's on the left, into Placencia, wide to Suzuki, come back to Benavides, Bassioli along the line to Suzuki, into Bortic in the box, 1-0 up, yet another goal for Milos Bortic, who's been an outstanding signing for us. And, just looking to end the season the way we've played all season so far. Bassioli's on the line to Suzuki, hits it into Bortic, takes it and hits the shot quickly before the keeper can adjust, and that's 1-0 up. And that was a first half of very little chances and very little highlights. We are going in 1-0 up. We are down on the XG. We had barely any of the possession. It is very much a last day of the season performance. We need to make sure we come away with a victory to finish with 100 points again. Right, we've not made any changes yet. We'll probably make a big load at around about the hour. Ferreira with a corner, looking for Triori at the far post, headed clear as far as Suzuki. Triori back to Suzuki. Simovic, Triori's in this left wing position. Simovic into Goosens. Bortic, Al Shamari. That's 2-0, and hopefully that is the game done, dusted. Triori found himself out on this left hand side. The ball eventually came to Simovic, who found Goosens. Into Bortic, one touch into Shamari. Al Shamari takes a couple of touches, and then just slots it under the keeper for 2-0. Right, we made some changes, brought 5 players on, and then we've immediately forgotten how to defend. And Carlos Fonseca with the goal, who's someone that we've looked at signing for each of the past 4 seasons, and just figured he wouldn't get enough first team football, and he popped up with a goal there. Fernandez nips in, picks the ball up, and then gives it away. Rafael with the header. Fernandez goes back to Kamara. Bengue into Rodrigo Ribeiro. What a finish that is. Lovely touch. And then just bends, looks like he bent it into the top corner there. Kamara into Fernandez, onto Bengue, puts it in onto his left foot. Ribeiro takes it and then just lifts it over the keeper. The 3-1 and a bit more comfort on the scoreline. Simovic in the box, squares it, comes out to Storey, who gives it away. Mara bringing it forward. Al-Shamari into Goossens, and there's the 4th, and we are ending the season and the save on a bit of a high by the looks of it here. Kamara brought it forward into Shamari, takes a touch, moves it on to Goossens, who takes a touch and then fires across the keeper and hits the far post and in. They're building up the play. They've gone wide. Nasser again in down the left hand side. We won it back though. Rafael to Goossens, over the top looking for Ribeiro. He's clear and he just dinks it over the keeper, gets his second for the day, puts us 5-1 up. And this is a nice way to send off the save. Lovely ball over the top, takes it in stride well, and just dinks it over the keeper. The keeper had gone down. And there we have it, the end of the save. And there we have it, the end of season 15, end of the save. We've ended the season with 4 trophies, the league, the Allianz Cup, Super TAC and UEFA Super Cup. And just an outstanding team. And sad to say goodbye to them. So there we are, end of the season and the end of the save. Before we finish the save though, what we are going to do is have a look at what we've achieved during the save. And then what we'll also do is we'll fast forward 5 years and see what happens to the squad. See how long it takes the board to dismantle the squad as well. So as far as the Hall of Fame is concerned, on the worldwide stage, we've managed to make it up to 4th. A little bit behind Alex Ferguson. Obviously, Ancelotti and Jurgen Klopp Jurgen Klopp's done some outstanding stuff. He obviously went to Real Madrid in the save, as you can sort of see. 13 league wins for him. But as you can see, for us, we've won the league 14 seasons in a row. The only season we didn't win it was the very first season of the save. We've won it every season since. We've won the Super TAC 10 times. We've won the Allianz Cup 10 times. We've won the TAC de Portugal 10 times. We even somehow managed to win the Champions League 3 times. And we won the Super Cup 3 times as well. So, just a really outstanding kind of save. I think probably the best save I may ever have had on Football Manager. Just looking at the career stats, we've played 806 games. We've won 646. We've drawn 79 and we've lost 81. We had a goal difference of plus 1,822 and 80% win percentage. And we've won 14 league titles and 36 cup. We've actually spent and bought a lot less than I thought. Thought we would probably have bought and sold around about the same number of players. We've bought 107 players. We've sold 191. We bought them for 1.68 billion and sold them for 2.83 billion. So we turned a profit on most players that we brought in. And the highest transfer fees were in this last season. We sold Vita Hurdy for 174 million. Probably his value, we weren't going to get anything more for him. and it's trying to leave the club in a good position. We then spent 121 million of that 174 on Niko Lukic, who's a younger player, plays in the same sort of positions, and hopefully to future-proof things for the club. We end the save on the list of legends alongside a couple of players that we brought in Kylian Mbappe and Arda Güler, along with Fernando Pirotio and Cristiano Ronaldo. If we look at the best 11, the vast majority of them are players that we brought in at some point. There's a few players that came that were already here, and a few players that came through the youth system. I think pound for pound, the best signing is probably Dragan Asimovic, who we signed for $2.5 million. Pretty early on in the save, and's gone on to make 437 appearances for the club. But like, you look at what Kylian Mbappe did, 114 goals in 169 games. You look at Milos Bortic, who's had 169 goals in 167 games. I mean, and this is not including Max Leonardo, who we signed in the very first season and was the catalyst for the first 3 or 4 league titles. Just a truly outstanding squad that we've had throughout the whole thing. We did spend big early on some young players who have really developed for us, and then we've managed to sell them on and make money when we had players in to replace them as well. But the time has now come to resign. 15 seasons with Sporting are now over. Cristiano Ronaldo is the big favourite to take over, so it'll be interesting to see whether he does take over. Patrick Vieira, who has done wonderful things, like, he had a really good spell at Arsenal, left them to go to France, won the World Cup with them, and then went back to Arsenal. And then Roland Chalai at Nantes as well. So it'll be interesting to see who takes over, what they do, and how, like I say, how quickly the board dismantled the squad that we put together that have won 14 titles in a row. So we have fast forwarded 5 seasons to find out what happened to the squad that we'd put together. As you can see, a couple of the players have become legends in Maurice Goossens and Niko Lukic. I'm still showing as a legend as well. We can see Mikel Arteta is the current manager. Is he the one that replaced me? Yes, he is. In the 5 seasons he's been there, he's had quite a decent run of things. 5 league wins and 16 cup wins. So, as we can see from the league history, they've won the league every season. So that's continued on. They've won another Champions League. In fact, that in this current season, yes. So they beat Man City 3-1 in the final in this most recent season. They did pick up the Club World Cup in the summer after we resigned. They've won the league title every season. They've won the Taça de Portugal in every season. The Super Taça, they have only won 3 out of 5. They didn't win it in 2038 and they didn't win it this season by the looks of it. And the Allianz Cup, they've won every season. So in every season he's been charged, Arteta has followed on from us by winning a treble in pretty much every a domestic treble at least in every season. Also picked up the Club World Cup, picked up the Champions League. So obviously we'd done such a good job building that squad that they have been able to continue the dominance domestically. So this was our last season, where we finished on 100 points, having scored 131 goals and conceded 16. So the first season, Arteta lost 1 game. Second season didn't lose any but drew 3. Then lost 2 and drew 3. And then lost 1 and drew 1. And then in the most recent season, didn't lose any and drew 3. The one thing I would say is that they are scoring a lot less goals than we did. We were regularly scoring over 100 goals a season, and in the 5 seasons that Arteta's been in charge, they've not managed that yet. We can see from captain and vice captain that some of the key players are still there, at least in John Suzuki as captain and Milos Bortic as vice captain. And then looking at the squad, Salsinho's still there, Basioli's still there, Hernandez is still there, Asimovic, Soulard, Suzuki, Bortic, Lukic. Not many, realistically, when you consider we probably had 25 players in that last season. There's probably only 6 or 7 there still. So our last bit of business was signing Niko Lukic, having sold Vita Hurdy. They sold young centre-half Diego Ferreira that summer to Arsenal. And then they spent 180 million the summer that we left. 45 million of that was in bringing Jonathan Counda back to the club, who we had early on. Was one of the players that had come through the youth setup. They sold Issouf Traore for 122 million in that summer, rising to 171. Guillaume went for 53 million, but that was agreed as part of the loan deal that he'd gone out on. I'm surprised at them sending out Raul Rafael, having sold all the other central midfielders that could have been challenging for a place with him. Maurice Goossens, 42 million to 59 million, seems a steal for the player that he was in that final season for us. Following summer, they managed to spend 197 million, including 79 million on an English player from Southampton. And then big money brought in Miguel Ferreira for 152 million to Inter Milan, who they'd splashed the cash on Issouf Traore for 171 million the previous summer, 152 million to 210 million for Miguel Ferreira. Placentia for 54 million seems a steal as well. And Raul Rafael for 35 million. Again, they're emptying out the midfielders. And then the following summer, Miguel Benavides left for 204 million to Bayern Munich. Ben Gay for 25.5 million to Leipzig. They managed somehow to get 38.5 million for Andrew Alonso, who was nowhere near really a first team position player for us. Celso Rosero for 48.5 million. It's the same clubs over and over again that have come in for the players throughout the whole stave. It's Inter, it's Tottenham, it's Arsenal, it's Leipzig, it's PSG. And then in the most recent season, not an awful lot. 55 million in, 27 million out. Al Shabari again going to Inter Milan. And then just a final look at the best 11. Looking to see how many of our players are still there, whether any of them have been supplanted. I mean, I know I've said it before, Dragan Simovic, pound for pound, has to go down as one of the best signings. For 2.5 million for him to have played 723 games at left back and in the centre and midfield as well. And Milos Bortic as well. 471 games, 364 goals. Outstanding. It's interesting that Niko Lukic has edged out Kylian Mbappe. There's no Vita Hurdy on this anywhere. There's no Marcus Leonardo on this anywhere. Just goes to show what a real good group of players we've had throughout the whole stave. I think we're now down to just 1, 2. We're now down to just 3 players in that best 11 and subs who were here at the start of the save. Dario Hugo was in the youth team at the start. Goncalo Estes was in the youth team at the start as well. Both went on to play over 300 games for the club. Hidemasa Marita was a star player at the start of the save. And Thiago Thomas as well was out on loan at the start and then came back and really performed before we moved him on. I know I said it before, but definitely this has to be right up there with the most successful saves. 15 seasons, 14 league titles, 36 cup wins. Can't ask for much more than that. And now we just look forward to the start of the FM24 cycle. And there we have it, the end of a really enjoyable save with Sporting. 15 seasons, 14 league titles, 10 Attack Portugal, 10 Allianz Cups, 3 Champions Leagues, 3 UEFA Super Cups. What more is it to say? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you when the FM24 beta drops.